Hey, we have some exciting news to share. We have written a book, Polarity Intelligence, The Missing Logic in Leadership, and it is now available for pre-order on Amazon. Just search for the title of our book, Polarity Intelligence, The Missing Logic in Leadership, and pre-order your copy today. As listeners of our podcast, you know we have been using the principles of a polarity mindset, healthy relationships, and meaningful dialogue as leaders for decades. And as business partners, these principles are the cornerstone of our business. Polarities are all around us, even in us, and if you can't recognize them and don't know how to leverage them, they will haunt you. They will keep showing up as persistent problems you are unable to solve. For us, having this knowledge compels us to share it with leaders around the world. We believe the polarization in our homes, schools, communities, and world would shift if every leader became polarity intelligent. We can't wait for you to read our book. Pre-order your copy of Polarity Intelligence, The Missing Logic in Leadership on Amazon.com now.
This is Healthcare's Missing Logic podcast, episode number 227. And we went back into the archives to pull this one out for you, ladies and gents.
We did.
This Encore episode is how to use polarity intelligence to invite differing perspectives and create team psychological safety. And this is a really, really relevant and important topic today. I think listening to differing perspectives is so critical, and having the skill and the capabilities to do that is essential for all leaders, not just healthcare leaders. And, you know, there's a lot of challenges right now with engaging individuals in teams, in organizations. And so much of engagement has to do with feeling safe, psychologically safe to bring your voice and your perspectives. And, you know, people won't engage and they won't bring their voice if they don't feel this way. So this is just really timely to kind of revisit this and learn a little bit more about it.
Yeah, so in this episode, we really bring out the understanding of polarities because that helps you honor the different perspectives. And we did this episode before we wrote our book, but just a little teaser for our book. In the book, we also really bring forth the importance of meaningful dialogue. And one of the principles of meaningful dialogue is setting intention and creating psychological safety. And that really opens up the ability to hear the differing perspectives as well by setting your intention, creating that safe place, and welcoming the voices of others, and have it be safe to take interpersonal risks and share your perspective.
Yeah, and you know, the book is the Polarity Intelligence, The Missing Logic in Leadership. And it includes, right, not just meaningful dialogue, but also a polarity mindset and healthy relationships. Yeah. And we focus a lot in this episode on the polarity mindset piece, because in addition to being able to engage in the meaningful dialogue, we have to be able to recognize that we have a polarity. And, you know, when you recognize that, then it is about saying, hey, we don't have to be afraid of differing perspectives. We can actually invite those perspectives because they may take us to a place we wouldn't go without them. And so it really is about, when there's resistance, to be open to that, to be open to the fact that that resistance may represent another perspective that's interdependent with yours. And I think the other thing we touch on in this episode as well is really, you don't have to give up your perspective to acknowledge and to see and support another a perspective that might feel like it's opposing. So there's a lot of lessons in this, right? And creating that psychological safety and that environment for people to bring their perspective, whatever it is, because we can all learn from it, right? We can all learn from each of our perspectives. So keep listening. This is a really, really great episode.
Welcome back to Healthcare's Missing Logic podcast. This is the only podcast that shows you how to leverage polarity intelligence, an essential competency for healthcare leaders, and the missing logic in healthcare, so you can create healthy, healing organizations and become a thriving, resilient, and unstoppable healthcare leader.
We are your hosts, Tracy Christofferson and Michelle Trosett.
We've been best friends and colleagues for over 30 years. And during that time, we coached healthcare leaders across North America around how to create healthy, healing organizations.
Today, we coach healthcare leaders and leadership teams to live thriving, resilient, and balanced lives, combat burnout, and create the best places to give and receive care.
This podcast is for the unsung hero of healthcare, the healthcare leader. We want you to know we see you and we'll be here for you each week. In this podcast, we're going to challenge healthcare's industry norms, flip limiting beliefs, and share proven strategies so you can be your best self at work and at home, live and lead intentionally, and experience well-being and joy.
We are glad you are here and look forward to sharing the journey with you. If you aren't totally convinced this podcast is for you, just listen to a few episodes and convince yourself. Hi, everybody. This is Michelle.
And Tracy's here too. Surprise! Oh my gosh. You know, we've been doing batching this week. So can you tell?
We're getting a little...
Go ahead. After about the fifth one, we're kind of like...
we're a little podcast slap happy.
Yeah. I guess you could say that. That's so
yeah.
True. That's so
it is so true.
Hey, at least we're happy, not stressed out.
That's right. That's right. We are happy.
We have trust.
We have trust and we feel psychologically safe with each other. So we got that going for us.
Well, and here we are. And that's what we're going to talk about today, right? So we just let it go and trust the right things are going to come out of our mouths. But we thought, you know, this would be a really great topic. It's certainly, there's a heightened awareness around this in healthcare organizations, and as leaders are thinking about what do we need to be doing, right, to enhance our cultures and support the clinicians and, you know, shift things around in the environment. You know, this is certainly a key strategy and something that definitely has to be paid attention to if you want to have success, right, in what you're trying to do. And just so we're all on the same page, you know, organizational behavioral scientist Amy Edmondson of Harvard first introduced the construct of team psychological safety, and she defined it as a shared belief held by members of a team that the team is safe for interpersonal risk taking. You're not going to do what you don't feel safe doing, right?
That's right. That's right. You're not going to take any risks.
No, not going to put yourself out there. Not going to bring your voice, not going to share your perspectives, right?
Right. Even if it means putting other people at risk, right?
Yeah. That too, right? So, you know, not having this or having a lack of it can have a significant impact on healthcare organizations and on clinicians and leaders as well, right? Mm-hmm. And it really hinders your development, both as an individual and as a team. You know, so it's really core to success, and it aligns with what we teach about relationships, Michelle, right? And and just openness and trust, and you know, the same thing. It's kind of that combination of relationships and dialogue, right? That kind of can help open that up, so people can begin to. You can create that safe container for voices to be heard.
And it all starts with your intention to do it. So that's a key factor as well.
Yeah. And one of the other things that can really help too is Polarity Intelligence. Now, Polarity Intelligence is pillar number 3 in our dynamic balance effect framework. And that also can help with psychological safety, just the nature of how we look at polarities and what that means to open up and be hearing other perspectives, to be welcoming conflict, to welcome different perspectives and points of view, right? And so that's one of the elements that we think can really be helpful. And as healthcare leaders, you and your clinicians, wow, right? You've experienced one of the most challenging times in your careers. And, you know, if you're feeling exhausted and frustrated and guilty and, you know, conflicted, then you're an overwhelmed healthcare leader, right? And at the same time, you want to support your team, but you don't always know what to do. You don't always know what's the right next step, especially in these times, given the depth and breadth of the challenges that have been faced by your team.
Right. It's sort of like, Tracy, in a way, it's like it's a new day for healthcare leaders. Um, because to your point, that's what we hear, right? They want to help, but they're not always sure of exactly how to help them. So the first step is just creating that environment of team psychological safety so that it can help team members share their experiences, seek assistance when they need it, and just overall improve relationships across the team. And leaders can trust that. Like if you open up that container, they'll guide you where they need to go. It's just creating that safe place to have their needs be expressed and for them to feel safe.
Yeah, and the only way to move forward is to hear those voices.
Yes.
So if you don't do this, you're not going to hear them. They're not going to be honest or transparent or vulnerable with you around what those needs are, what the experiences are, what needs to shift, right? And change as a leader. So, polarity intelligence is also a foundation of our H2O framework and a part of our performance pillar in that framework. And it helps you to differentiate between problems that can be solved and these polarities that have to be leveraged or managed. And sometimes clinicians are coming to you with challenges, right? And you need to be able to discern and differentiate, is this a problem that I can identify a solution for, or is this something that we need to understand in a deeper way? Is this something that we need to manage? Is there an interdependent element to this, right, that we need to be examining and looking at? And just being able to make that differentiation and then be able to manage the tension between the two, right, is just with meaningful dialogue and strengthening relationships at the same time, that can really catapult you into this kind of safe space, right? Creating that safe environment, that psychological safety for the team to be able to bring things. And using that polarity lens to examine challenges brought forth or experienced by the team can prevent frustrations, right? Why aren't we being successful? Why are we wasting time, right? That's what's going to start happening, because you're going to waste resources and time and money and not get where you want to go if you're addressing a polarity as a problem.
Right.
So this enables you to demonstrate also engagement by bringing people in and engaging them and being engaged with them, and then understanding, being open to the challenges and understanding the different perspectives goes a long way as a leader to creating psychological safety. So this is a way that can help you.
Right, right. And a polarity lens also acknowledges the importance of differing but interdependent perspectives. It invites and encourages exploration and advocacy for those perspectives. So it's kind of like, bring it,
Yeah.
bring it. And so then what that does, that really then starts to create an environment of inclusion and enables you to solicit input and build rapport and that trust that Tracy spoke about. So it's a really important step. And that polarity intelligence invites the voices of the team members and solicits and validates those differing perspectives. So you have to create the space to make that happen.
Yeah. And then that actually deepens the team's understanding of their current reality. They understand what's going on and they have a way to describe it, right? And to understand it. And why they're experiencing what they're experiencing. And that creates the space to recognize and then transcend our biases, our preferences, right? Which we all have. We all have them. But you can do this in a safe space, which is so cool, right? That's what's so great about it. And it removes fear and generates hope. That's what's so lovely. So it's kind of like, I like to think about the little fuzz bunnies that are around the borders of your rooms, right? Like you can just and you turn on the fan and whoosh, there they are, all in your face. They just kind of makes it right there, like, whoa, and it provides that evidence for hope, because we don't have to hang on. We don't have to be fearful. We can see that both perspectives are needed, that my perspective is as equally as important as your perspective. And I don't have to be afraid that we're not going to address what I need. So that creates hope, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that focus on shared purpose shifts the team's focus and attention, right? To, oh, we both want the same thing. This is where we're headed. We're going in the same direction. We just have a different perspective about what's necessary to achieve that. But we actually need both of these things, right? So that's the kind of thing that starts to happen when you start to have these deeper, meaningful conversations and strengthen the relationships. And as a leader, you can't manage what you don't see or understand.
Right.
So if there's polarities in the situations and in the challenges, which there are, because their polarities are everywhere, if you're not seeing them, if you're not leveraging this intelligence, right, to identify and then to engage in conversation and really reveal what is going on and what you want and what actions are needed, then you can't see it, you can't manage it, right? So
Right.
it enables you to gain that clarity on the current realities and at the same time establish hope and remove fear and risk and build trust, all while helping individuals and the team be the very best that they can be. Now, like, who wouldn't want that? Really? Like, isn't that sound so
Exactly.
great? I get excited just talking about it.
I do too. I do
I
too.
mean, all of that's essential, right, for establishing
Hmm.
that team psychological.
Yeah, it is. It
And
is. Now you,
it's a fun way to do it, don't you think, Michelle? Like,
it is. It's fun, and it takes your tension away as a leader, because to your point, you don't have to hold all the answers. You don't have to. It's that, because that's not how it works.
yeah, it reduces your stress,
Yep.
right? Your anxiety about, am I going to be able to figure this out? It's not about you figuring it out. It's about engaging everybody, right? And opening up and being inclusive and just walking a map and learning about this and hearing. It's just so enlightening and so inspiring and fun.
Yeah.
Really, it is. It's not
And
stressful.
there's been a lot of research that has shown that teams with psychological safety are more effective, and so it really helps meet organizational goals, which is we don't want to forget about that factor either.
No.
So you might be wondering, well, how do I learn more about this polarity intelligence? And so we wanted to tell you something, because you may or may not be aware of it, but we created a self-study program for leaders, and it's called Caring for Others Without Neglecting You. That was intentional because of how leaders are having to, just deal with all of the stresses of COVID these days. And it's based on the dynamic balance effect, but we did it in such a way where you can start to develop your awareness of polarity intelligence and how to leverage this competency when caring for your team. So it's just a great way to learn if you're curious and you want to know more about it. And it's easy to get to. We just invite you to go to our website, missinglogic.com. And you can register right from our website under new events. So that's the area in the website that you look at. And we can just tell you right now, you will be amazed at the difference this makes for your leadership and your team when you look at it through that lens. And it is a step into that psychological safety as well.
Yeah. And you get to walk away with your own blueprint plan for how you're going to not neglect yourself, but care for yourself at the same time you care for your team. So, wow, you get to learn polarity intelligence and have a really awesome strategy to carry you into the future, right?
Yep.
Geez, wow. That's awesome. Now, let's just say that you're not able to accurately diagnose or differentiate between a problem and a polarity um, in the work environment. What's going to happen is you're going to waste time and money and energy on fixes that are going to fail. They're not going to be
Hmm.
successful. And without a framework for engaging in safe, open dialogue and exploring different but interdependent points of view, team members may feel it's not safe to voice their different or diverse perspectives or share their experiences, which can hinder creating that psychological safety for the team.
Yeah. And the other thing is, doesn't have to be that way. You really could be successful. And when healthcare leaders leverage polarity intelligence to cultivate that team psychological safety, they remove the threat that diversity and differing perspectives or points of view can elicit.
And it fosters a collective mindset of shared purpose and a valuing of connectedness and dialogue. It's really powerful.
It is very powerful. And so if you're a true healthcare leader, a thriving, resilient, unstoppable healthcare leader, you develop your competency in Polarity Intelligence. And then you use that as a methodology to engage with your teams in deep, meaningful dialogue so they can embrace their different perspectives, transcend their biases, cultivate team psychological safety, and focus on their shared purpose. Because that's what true, TRU, healthcare leaders do.
Yeah, that's what true leaders do.
Yeah.
That rhymes, Tracy. That's what true leaders do.
Ooh, all right.
Oh, this has been such a great conversation. It's been so wonderful. And that's a wrap.
It is a wrap.
It is a wrap. So we just want to thank you. We just so appreciate all of you listeners out there. And thank you for sharing our podcast with others. Thank you for, putting little notes in social media that how much you enjoyed an episode. Thank you for doing rates and reviews on iTunes. It just keeps us going, and we really, really appreciate each of you.
Yes, we do. We really, really do.
Yeah. So until next time, stay safe and healthy.
Yes. Bye. I'm always waving at the end of these. Bye. I'm waving to you. Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Healthcare's Missing Logic podcast, now a top-rated podcast for healthcare leaders. Please share this podcast with other healthcare leaders and anyone else you think would benefit. We are certain that if you found value in it, they will too. If you haven't already done so, please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any episodes. And also, it would mean the world to us if you took a quick moment to leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast player. It helps to get the word out about our podcast and incredible guests. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you want to watch our podcasts. You can also follow us on our Missing Logic social media channels, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Until next time.